Huh.
Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Oh, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AEye Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AEye Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AEye Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AEye Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Stellar.
Karl Matchett, Liverpool are back. Games to be played. And this weekend, they take on Brighton and Hove Albion at Anfield in a game that can see the Reds return to the top of the table and potentially stay there beyond the weekend, depending on results at the Etihad, where either a City win or a draw will see Liverpool stay top. So I actually want to start there. What's your preferred outcome, and how do you think the game between City and Arsenal breaks out?
My preferred outcome is both teams docked points for fielding an ineligible player. Maybe one or two slight twisted ankles as well. No season-ending or Euros threatening injuries, nothing like that. We're not savages, but just a few knocks. More realistically, I don't see Arsenal winning. It's at Manchester City. It's obviously an enormous game for both teams, but this is both the time of year and the type of result where Arsenal have typically come undone. And as we've said before, until we see evidence that they can overcome that particular barrier, we have to keep saying that we go against them. And that is what I am thinking again for this time. I don't think that they'll make it easy. I think that they'll look back at the game where they played us, which was probably not that long ago. It feels about 6 months ago already at this point. And again, most of the international break does feel about that long. So I think that they'll be confident, but I do wonder with Arsenal whether sometimes that confidence plays into over-exuberance in this type of game. And I don't think Manchester City are in any way, shape or form likely to be as poor as we were in that particular fixture either.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think as well with City, this is the time of year. You mentioned Arsenal haven't ended the season as well. David Lynch had a piece up on This Is Anfield earlier today, where over the last 4 years, from their last 10 games, Arsenal averaged 16.5 points. Last 2 seasons, they've taken 15 points from their last 10 games and managed to throw away a top 4 finish and then the league title. Whereas with City, they do get stronger in this time of the year. They understand that this is the time of year when trophies are won, and that as long as they're in a position to win those trophies, they will feel confident that they can go on and wrap them up. I feel like the draw is the best outcome for us, obviously. I think the City win is the most likely outcome. But I do sort of wonder, Karl, would an Arsenal win nearly be the best outcome for us? Because I'd rather be toe-to-toe with Arsenal and 4 points clear of City than 1 point clear of City going into the last 9 games.
I do agree, but obviously 2 factors to that. One is that we would then have the answer that we would need to change our view on Arsenal, that they can cope with that kind of game and that they are able to approach the run-in in a winning mentality and with a winning plan. So that would be the first thing. And secondly then would be that beating Liverpool and then beating City, and City away from home, maybe that gives them that mental edge that they've needed to overcome that barrier overall for the season as a whole. You know, it's not unthinkable that if they beat Man City, Arsenal win out the season in Premier League terms. Like, the only really tough ones they would have left is away to Tottenham in the derby and away to Man United if Man United feel like being a football club at that point of the season. I wouldn't say that they have too many extremely difficult games. They've got teams who could beat them. Like, they could turn up and Brighton have one of their good Brighton days instead of one of their bad Brighton days and they beat them 3-0. Like, that can happen, but I'm not sure I would say that I would expect that to be the case if Arsenal have managed to find a way in Europe, beat Liverpool, and then beat Man City. Maybe at that point we would need to take a step back and say, well, hold on, they've been doing now what we've been saying they haven't done beforehand. So maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That is fair, that potentially it could be a confidence booster for them. Or it could make them overly confident, as they were last year. I still think they'll lose a couple more games. Like, I think Spurs will beat them at Spurs. And I could see them dropping points at Brighton, at home to Villa, maybe even at home to Chelsea. I could see United getting a result against them at Old Trafford, especially as they'll have, a lot of players back and fit and ready to go and probably still fuming from... They feel they were robbed early in the season at the Emirates. I kind of agree with them. The Rice goal was a foul on Johnny Evans by Gabriel that wasn't given. And I do wonder if maybe they might just get overly confident should they beat City. But I think the likely outcome is that City win. I think a draw, like I say, is best for us. We win our game, then we're 2 points clear of Arsenal, 3 clear of City, and have the goal difference advantage on City. And I do think Arsenal, like I say, will drop points moving forward. But yeah, could be a really, really big weekend in this Premier League title race, which, as we've said all along, kind of starts now. Starts with 10 games left. And we play before them. We're the 2:00 kickoff. So they're walking out at the Etihad, both sides, knowing the result of our game. And if we've won, and particularly if we've won in a kind of dominant way, that's a marker down. And that, I think, does give us the advantage heading into their game. I think it might make both sides potentially a little bit nervous. So moving to our game then, Brighton and Hove Albion, Karl, are... I mean, some people have said they're having a bad season, and I really can't wrap my head around that logic, because they're, number one, they're Brighton and Hove Albion. Number two, they're 8th in the league. They're 2 points behind West Ham, 5 points behind United, who sit 6th. To me, for Brighton, that's a great outcome if they finish 8th, having had a decent domestic cup run, where they got to the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's not brilliant, but it's decent. And then had a good run in Europe, where they topped the group at their first ever time taking on European football, overcame a slow start in the group where they lost to AEye Athens and drew away to Marseille to win 4 games in a row. Now, they did get walloped in Rome, but then they won the return leg. So they didn't go out completely embarrassed. I think this overall, if the season finished today, I think this is a successful season for Brighton. I get what people point at, which is defensively, they're very naive and very open. But, you look at their defensive record. Villa have conceded 2 less. Spurs have conceded 2 less. West Ham have conceded 6 more. Wolves have conceded the same. Newcastle, with the best defence in the league last year, have conceded 4 more. Chelsea have conceded more. Everybody below them has conceded more goals than them, bar Everton, who've only conceded 39 this year, but they've only scored 29. I think the bigger issue for Brighton is they're not scoring quite as freely as they did last year. They're not quite as exciting going forward, but they've had a ton of injuries as well. And in the summer, they lost not just the heartbeat of that team, which was the midfield of Caicedo and Alexis. And the Caicedo thing dragged so long, it kind of disrupted their summer. But it's been overlooked. They also lost Levi Colwill, who was really important for them last year, especially in the second half of the season, where they really found a rich vein of form under De Zerbi. I don't think dropping from 6th to 8th can be seen as a bad season for Brighton. I don't accept that this is a bad season for Brighton.
No, I agree. I think, 6th to 8th is not a huge drop-off anyway. And when 6th was their best all-time season finish, that's, something to take into context. And then, yes, you have got to follow up that, but also you are dealing with the reward that comes with that, which is extra games, which is European football, which is midweek matches. So, no, same as we discussed West Ham not too long ago, and people said that they were having a bad season. It was 7th, still going deep in Europe. At the time, I think they were still in a cup as well. No, these are not bad seasons. You've now got, we've spoken about it before, 7 clubs who are expected to get in the top 4. 7 clubs who are expected to get in the top 4. And West Ham are still in the top 7. Now, yes, obviously there's underperformance from at least one, if not more, of those clubs. But you're still doing at least as good as your job can possibly be done, and maybe then a little bit more to be breaking into that. So Brighton at the minute, like last season, whatever about the goals scored and the goals against and the style of play, Brighton lost 12 matches in the Premier League last season. 12 games. They've lost 8 so far this year. Like, they've not won quite as many in terms of the rate that they're going at. They've won 11 so far. They've drawn more matches, obviously, but they've only lost 8. Like, are they going to lose another 4 games in the final 10 after losing 8 of 28?
Seems unlikely.
It's improbable. It's possible, of course, but it's improbable. And even if they do, again, you've got the European football that came with last season. You've given supporters like really good nights on that and learned a lot as well, because let's not forget, Brighton had a terrible start to the group and still managed to get themselves out of it. So lots of players will take lots from that, especially people like Evan Ferguson, who's basically in a first full campaign, let's say, of playing top football, and people like Igor Julio, for example, wasn't really in the side for the first half of the campaign. They've been switching backwards and forwards between Steele and Verbruggen in goal. Like, there's lots of moving parts of this Brighton team, even to the extent of like Enciso, who was excellent at the end of last season, and Mitoma, who was great all the way through last season. Missed a lot of this season through being injured, and Estepinian as well behind him.
Yeah, who was brilliant last year as well.
Estepinian and Mitoma was a whole left side last year, which was excellent. They haven't had either of them for quite a significant part.
That's the thing. And like, when they did have Mitoma, Estepinian was out. Now they have Estepinian and Mitoma's out. So that the two of them playing together, they were just dynamite last year down that side. Arguably the best left side in the league last year. And they've rarely had them this year. I said it was unlikely that they lose 4. As I look at their fixtures, I think it is likely that they lose 4 because they play City. Well, they play us. They've also got to play City. They've got to play Arsenal. They've got to play Chelsea. They've got to play Villa. They've got to go to Newcastle, go to Bournemouth, go to Brentford. They got United last. They do have a tough run in. So maybe they do lose 4. But, even if they do, it's still not going to be a bad season. Like you said, there's 7 teams competing for 4 spots. they're currently ahead of two of them. They're ahead of Chelsea. They're ahead of Newcastle. They could easily overhaul United between now and the end of the season. Like, that's a thing that could happen. But when you look at their squad, I think De Zerbi's made a big mistake this year with the goalkeeping situation. I mean, Jason Steele, I'm not being funny, Karl. I went through all the goalkeepers in the Premier League a couple of weeks ago on Two Footed. I don't think he's a top 30 goalkeeper in the Premier League. I think there's a bunch of teams with better backup goalkeepers. He's unquestionably the worst starter. I think he's the second best goalkeeper at his own club. I don't think he's a top 30 keeper. I think the decision to continually play him has cost them majorly this year. He should have just committed to Verbruggen. In defence, Lamptey has missed a bunch of games. Like you said, Julio's been in and out of the team. Webster's fallen off a cliff. Dunk has been really poor this year. Van Hecke, I'm not a fan of. Estupinan has missed basically half the season. Veltman's missed a bunch of games. Like, they haven't had any real solidity, any real continuity at the back. Milner's been playing and he's garbage. In midfield, Solly March has also missed most of the season. He was brilliant for them last year. You lose him, Mitoma, and Caicedo and McAllister. I mean, that's 4 of your 5 midfielders from last year gone. The only one who's still playing and is having a really good season is Pascal Gross. He's been really good for them this year. Now, Billy Gilmore's been pretty good, bit inconsistent. Lallana's an empty shirt. Moder is back now, but he again he missed all of last season, but they were hoping he'd be back earlier this campaign. He's just back in the last couple of months. Baliba's had, a settling in season. Some really good performances, some poor performances. Adingra's having a very promising first campaign in the Premier League, but again, he's young, he's inconsistent. Ansu Fati they brought in on loan. He's missed half the season. He's only started 3 games in the Premier League. Buenanote's been okay. Hinchelwood's been a really nice find, but again, had a bunch of injuries. And then in attack, João Pedro, only 12 starts in the league. He's missed time through injuries. And Enciso missed the vast majority of the season, only 2 starts. Evan Ferguson, it's like you said, his first full season. He hasn't quite kicked on the way they were hoping, but I think part of that is he's in and out of the team because they've got 3 options for that number 9 spot. And for whatever reason, De Zerbi continually rolls out Danny Welbeck, who scored 3 goals this season. So, there's been some strange managerial decisions. He's got a bit of a fetish for dross, but they've also just had a shitload of injuries. And as you said, they've also had to play in Europe for the first time. And it's the Europa League, it's the Thursday-Sunday thing that has tripped up top clubs over the years. There's been big teams with huge squads that have been in that competition and struggled with the Thursday-Sunday thing. So, I think all in all, they'll be pretty happy with how the season has gone. They'll be thrilled with how they did in Europe. They would have preferred, obviously, not to get smashed in Rome. But overall, this is a season that's just really good for them in terms of developing young players and setting themselves up for the future.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Hey there. Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hello there. Have you ever found yourself getting ready to watch the Liverpool match? You've got your mates round, you've got your drinks, you've got your snacks. You're all set to go. It's going to be a good day. And then you find out, oh, the game's not actually being broadcast in your region. There's the heartbreak, there's rage, there's despair, there's fury. You're upset. You're looking for a solution. Well, we've teamed up with NordVPN to bring you a game-changing solution. That's right. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country where the game's on live. It's like having a global ticket to sports, TV shows, and movies from all around the world. And here's the best part. If you go to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index, you'll score the best discount on your NordVPN plan. Plus, our link gives you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. And that's what we call a winning streak. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if it's not for me? What if I don't like it? What if I'm not getting the use of it? Don't worry about it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. I've been using NordVPN to catch all the Liverpool matches and TV shows that I'd normally miss out on. It's totally transformed both my weekends and my TV watching. And not only that, not only does it give me access to stuff from all around the world with the click of a button, it keeps all my data safe. It means that the miscreants, the ne'er-do-wells, what my grandmother would have called scallywags, who lurk on the internet to try and steal your information, can't get to your information. NordVPN keeps it safe for you. So don't let geo-restrictions bench you this season. Visit nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and make sure that you're in the game, no matter when or where it's being played. Remember, it's not just sports. It's your all-access pass to binge-worthy TV shows and blockbuster movies from all around the globe. NordVPN literally unlocks the world for you and keeps you safe from the world. So don't miss out. Head over to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and let the fun and games begin.
Yeah, I mean, if they, one way or another, get European football again for next season or come within touching distance of it, I don't really understand any argument against them having done anything other than an exceptional couple of campaigns, and especially when you factor in, obviously, managerial change through that, as well as the playing staff change around, and the fact that they've lost behind-the-scenes people from the board, the hierarchy, the senior management, and all the rest of it. It's exceptional. No other word for it.
And if you were looking at, I think, all the clubs outside of the 7, the big 6 plus Newcastle, and you were looking at their kind of long-term outlook, I think Brighton are as well, if not better, set up than anybody. Like, you look at a team that, now they will obviously lose some players, but I mean, Verbruggen is young, Estepinian is young. They brought in Valentin Barco, who hasn't played yet. He's a young player. Julio's mid-20s. Baliba, I think, is going to be really good. He's early 20s. Gilmore's early 20s. Buenanote is, I think, still a teenager. Matoma's mid-20s. Adingra is early 20s. Hinchelwood's still a teenager. João Pedro's early 20s. And Ciso, I think, is 20, maybe 21. And Evan Ferguson is a teenager. Like, that's a hell of a lot of talent that they've got lined up to move forward with. Now, I think they need additions predominantly in defence, but and probably one in midfield, but their attacking talent is second to none. And they've already got Ibrahim Usman coming in in the summer as a new attacking kind of wide option. They'll get Solly March back. Buenanote will take a step forward. Barco will play more. If Matoma stays, he'll be back fit. Adingra will kick on. The two boys up front plus Enciso. Like, that's a hell of a group of forwards to be moving forward with. And I've seen people say, oh, well, if De Zerbi leaves, what happens? I think they're going to be a really, really attractive club to any top young manager looking for the next step in his career. Because where else are you going to find so much talent ready and waiting for you? They've got others to come back off loan, like Yasin Ayari, Kasper Keselowski, Abdullah Sima. Really, really talented players. Like, they're really well set up for the next 4 or 5 years, even with the few sales you'd be factoring in, because we know they'll recruit really well and replace those players.
Yeah, I mean, they will obviously continue to sell people. That's fine, and a part of how not just they are built, but they are happy to be built, and that's why they've got these succession plans in place with positions as well as with off-field staff. And I'm sure if De Zerbi leaves, they still have probably a line of 3-4 potential candidates they can go out and get. I wouldn't be surprised if they already know if there's going to be an approach for him, and therefore they already know who they are considering to bring in replacement of him. They've operated really, really well for a number of years now. We've spoken about other teams who can aspire to be similar to them, Palace and Brentford and a couple of other clubs like that, Bournemouth. It's because for the, should we say, outside the very biggest of clubs in England, Brighton probably are the standard bearers and have been for a bit.
Yeah, they're the model club. If you're a lower end Premier League team or a Championship team with ambition, Brighton are very much the model to follow. They're the club that you can replicate, because what they're doing, obviously, you've got to hire a lot of smart people and you've got to be very careful with how you go about things, but they are the model. They're proving that you don't need mega money to be competing for European football. And I was chatting to a few Brighton supporting friends over the weekend that I still keep in touch with, that I used to go regularly to the games with. And they said that the name that's going around, should De Zerbi leave, is Matthias Jasli, who was at Red Bull Salzburg and made a strange career decision to go to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia last summer, but apparently isn't all that happy over there. And that's the name that's doing the rounds if De Zerbi does go, that he'd be the one that they're most likely to target because of how they want to operate in terms of having the head coach who's just a coach and leaving the recruitment stuff to those above. He's already used to that type of setup, having been in the Red Bull orbit for a number of years, both with Liefering and then with Red Bull Salzburg. So that, to me, could make a lot of sense. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Like you said, they'll have a list and they will work from that list, and they're going to be well prepared. They likely know not only who their next manager is going to be or who they target. They've probably got a list for the following guy as well, because they're really clever and they plan really well. Coming into this game, obviously, at this point of the season, everybody has injuries. Brighton have no Solly March, no Matoma, no Hinchelwood. João Pedro is a doubt, and James Milner is a doubt. So they could both be back, but it probably seems a bit unlikely at the moment that this one will be in time for them. Our injury situation is improving a little bit, but then we also saw Andy Robertson get hurt, and potentially he's going to be out for a little period of time. But Curtis Jones is back by all accounts. Ryan Gravenberch is back and was on the bench the 2 games before the break. We've no Joel Matip, no Alisson, no Bajcetic, no Trent, no Jota, and no Thiago. But Darwin should be okay. Like I said, Curtis looks like he's going to be back, or at least back training, whether he's in the squad or not. And then it just depends on Robbo. So with that situation, and knowing that Trent and Jota are probably a week or 2 away, and Alisson's maybe a week behind them, and Bajcetic is kind of working his way back as well, we might get to a position in 3 weeks where we're looking at a Liverpool injury list that's just Joel Matip and Thiago Alcantara, who none of us are expecting to come back anyway, because Joel's got a torn ACL and, well, Thiago's Thiago.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to have a totally fit and full squad again, are we? Let's be honest. Did read this morning that unfortunately a request to have Andrew Robertson not necessarily featuring all the time for Scotland in this break did not go to plan, with obvious consequences there. But I mean, if we're being honest from a Liverpool perspective, he wasn't at his best before the injury. Then we were without him during the injury. And then he wasn't straight away a starter after the injury either, because he hadn't recaptured great form and other players were playing well. So, it's disappointing and obviously frustrating and so on and so forth. But I don't think we can use it as any kind of an excuse or a problem for ourselves right at this moment in time, to be honest. I think it's looking okay squad-wise at the minute. Obviously, the international break could have been worse in terms of how many people we had go away. Obviously, we can consider it a big positive that Salah was allowed to have this time to recuperate and rest properly, and hopefully get himself back up to full speed again. It would be great if we could just have a settled front line amongst anything else over the next few weeks, because we just haven't had that at all this season, really, have we? Quite a number of parts of the season where we've only really had 3 forwards to choose from, and obviously they can't start all the games all the time. So we've been mix and match, or we've been one player in the front line who's not typically in the front line, and so on. So it would be nice to get a little bit of continuity with in-game rotational substitutions making the difference there, I think. But by and large, I think at the minute, given the absences that we do have, the team kind of picks itself.
Yeah, I feel that way as well, that the team probably does pick itself at the moment. So before we get to the team, let's just look at the last time we played Brighton, which was obviously earlier this season in the Premier League, down at Brighton, and we drew 2-2. We went 1-0 down to a Simon Adingra goal. Then Salah scored twice before half-time. We were in 2-1 up. In that first half as well, Gravenberch missed a sitter. We missed a couple of other chances. And then Lewis Dunk scored an equaliser. And it was probably, the draw was probably a fair result on the day. We haven't been particularly great against Brighton in the last couple of years. Last season, obviously, they drew 3-3 at Anfield in the first game that De Zerbi took charge of. We've not beat De Zerbi yet, have we? No, because they knocked the shit out of us last year. Beat us 3-0 at the Amex. They also beat us in the FA Cup 2-1. So, it's been a while. And even if we go back into the 21-22 season, we did beat them, I believe, at their place. We beat them 2-0 under Potter, Diaz and a Salah penalty. But we drew 2-2 at home in one of the games that cost us the title that year, where we were 1-up. Sorry, we were 2-up, weren't we? We were 2-0 up against Brighton after 24 minutes and then gifted them a draw. So we've won 1 in the last, well, not fully 3 seasons, but if you count the FA Cup game, we've won 1 of the last 6 against them, which isn't good. And De Zerbi's football does seem to present some challenges for Klopp. But without Matoma, who's been a nightmare for us, they don't seem to carry that same threat, especially down that left. Without Alexis and Caicedo, they're not controlling games as well as they were in midfield last year. Like that game at the Amex in the league last year, that's one of the best performances I've seen any team put on against us in the Jurgen Klopp era. Like they were genuinely sensational in that game, pinged it around us, gave us absolutely nothing in the game, and 3-0 probably flattered us in some ways.
I hope you're not suggesting the same is going to occur again this time around.
No, well, this one's at Anfield, so that helps. I think we're going to need Anfield to be big for us in this run-in, and especially with three of our next 4 games at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than likely that if we actually want to win the league, we can't drop a point at home basically from this point on, because we will do away from home somewhere along the way. I would normally expect us to do a little bit better than we have done, to be honest. And we've only drawn 3 matches at home this season, but even that I think is slightly marginally below what we should have done.
Yeah.
The United game obviously being the standout one you would immediately point to, but I think we have to win out at home to give ourselves a shot, to be honest. So however you do it, coming back from the international break, I don't think we're really got to be in a position where we say, well, we just have to grind through it now. We're not playing Saturday 12:30 like we do sometimes after an international break or whatever. So even the players getting back from further afield have got that extra one day, and you would imagine there's going to be a lot of emphasis from the coach and staff on making that count in terms of energy against this Brighton team.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it, like you said, it's nice not to be playing the 12:30 on a Saturday, as was the want of TNT Sports. That joy falls to Newcastle, home to West Ham. We get the Sunday kickoff, which does help. Then we play Thursday, the 4th of April. So again, a decent enough break there. And then we're Sunday again against Manchester United. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Right, Liverpool team. So Kelleher starts in goal. Bradley, Konate, or do you start Kwanzaa? I'll let you answer that. Van Dijk and Gomez. I think the Konate Kwanzaa is the only question mark there.
Yeah, and I would go with Bradley. I think we just play sort of strongest team at this point after the break. So Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk seems pretty routine.
Yeah, with Gomez at left back.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And then midfield, my expectation is it's Dom, it's Endo, and it's Alexis McAllister. We got a bit of a bonus where Endo, their Japan's second game ended up being cancelled. So he got to come back early. I didn't actually check to see. Did Alexis play during the international break? I don't actually know. Dom did, but I think he'll be okay to start. So I think Dominic, Endo, Alexis in midfield.
The delicious ice-cold taste of Dr. Pepper has a lasting effect on people. Lindsay from Sacramento said,
Pro tip, 40 degrees is the perfect temperature for an ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Why is 40 degrees the perfect temperature for Dr. Pepper? We brought in Sue from Duluth, Minnesota to tell us.
Oh yeah, I know a thing or two about cold. Oh, that right there is the perfect kind of ice cold for Dr. Pepper. I'd share that with my friend Nancy. She likes Dr. Pepper too, My coldest...
All right, that'll be all, Sue. Having a perfect temperature for your Dr. Pepper? It's a Pepper thing. Inspired by real fan posts.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Yeah, like you say, we've got Curtis back in training at the very least, if not back into action. Obviously, he wouldn't be probably coming straight back into the lineup anyway. Alexis was away with them, but he didn't start the first game. He came on as a late sub, and then in the second game he started, but came off after less than an hour. So, one match altogether, let's say, in game time term. And against Costa Rica is not, although a physical matchup, is not going to be the most demanding one in terms of his brain power and his running and his need to be at full throttle. El Salvador and Costa Rica were, I think, fair to say, a fairly low-key couple of friendlies for Argentina this time around.
Yeah, and nice to see them looking after him as well and not overplaying him. So that's always good. Salah starts, Darwin starts, I assuming he's okay.
Yeah.
And then Diaz did play both games for Colombia. Now, he came off, I think, in the second game. I don't know if he came off in the first game, but I assume Diaz just starts. I did see some clips of him playing in those games, and he looked like the Lucho that we signed. He was going at his man. He was really, really aggressive in how he was attacking. It's what we would really want to see from him on a regular basis for Liverpool. So, yeah, Diaz kind of starts because I don't think Gakpo warrants a start.
No, I mean, if we had a full squad, I'm not sure Gakpo warrants a place on the bench, to be perfectly honest. We don't have to worry about that because we don't have a full squad, but he's miles down. He's miles and miles down if it's a big game and if we have other forwards fit. He needs to have a very, very strong end to the season, to be perfectly honest. Otherwise, I think there will be discussions over the summer, let's say.
Cody, get used to the Europa League, son. Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong team. That's a really strong team that we have available, even with the injuries that we have. And as I said, the hope will be that Curtis is at least back in the squad for this one. So he gives the midfield an extra boost. Now you've got 4 starter quality players that you're more than comfortable putting in any iteration. Like, you'd be happy with any 3 of that 4. Dom, Alexis, Endo, and Curtis. You'd be happy with any 3 of them starting. We get Jota hopefully back the following week. And again, that gives you 4 forward players that you're more than happy to have start. Then Trent should come back around the same time. And then Ali comes back, and every step of the way, that's helping us. The key is now to try and avoid anybody else getting hurt. I think ultimately it comes down to the fitness of Virgil. As long as he's fit, we have a chance to run the table here because he's that good and he's that special. But without him, I don't think we've got any chance of winning this title. I think we've shown we had no Salah for 2 months. We've shown we can work through that. We've had no Alisson for over 2 months. We've shown we can work through that. Kanate's been out. We've shown that Kwanzaa can come in. Trent's been out. We've shown that Bradley can come in. Robbo's been poor and out a lot. We've shown that Gomez and Costas can do the job. We know our midfield can all do the job. We know that Darwin's having a really good year. I do think he's kind of vital to us now as well. But I think if you had Mo, Diogo, and Diaz, I think you'd be okay. I think we're in a really good spot right now, Karl. I am still going to say it's City's title to lose because I think it's more to trick my own brain into not getting too caught up in it. But I think we've got a real chance of winning this. A really, really good chance of winning this.
I mean, we have, because, we're there and we can go top. That's a pretty good spot to be in with 9 games to go. But I do think that this weekend is going to not determine a lot, but give us a big insight as to what will be for the rest of the season. Like, if Liverpool do go top and do get the win and just come back into it and hit the ground running, and that's the start of the sprint. And then we've got, obviously, what will be second versus third immediately afterwards. That's going to sort of bring a lot of clarity, I think. There's no more games between the 3 teams after that. There's no more, sort of worrying about what other teams are doing. It's literally all about your results from that point onwards. And I think after that, I'd be more inclined to say what percentage chance I'd give us. I mean, at the minute, it's in our hands. It's that simple. If we win all of our games and outscore Arsenal by over 8 goals, we win the title. There's nothing anybody can do about that. So
yeah.
Let's see after this weekend. I'll give a bit more of a percentage chance after that point, because let's be honest, as we've said, Brighton, one of those clubs who really can turn it on and play in a way that hurts us. And it is first game back, which shouldn't be an issue, but sometimes it is, and it's quite frustrating to watch it come out and be slow and a bit floppy and all the rest of it. But we've got a really good team in place. We've got some key players to come back. If we pick up a quick, big result here, maybe the weekend sort of turns things in our favour.
Yeah, and the other thing with Brighton, though, as well as the fact that they can turn it on and they can be really good, they can also be a shambles defensively. Like Luton put 4 past them. Fulham put 3 past them. Villa put 6 past them. So for me, yeah, you showed them the respect, but this is also an opportunity for us over the next 4 games to close that goal difference. Brighton home, we should be looking to win by a couple of goals, and potentially Arsenal lose by a couple of goals. So that could shrink it right the way down, and we might come out of this weekend with only a 3-goal difference and us ahead of them in the league. And then we get Sheffield United at home, and that's a team we could put to the sword. We know we're capable of going to Old Trafford and beating them. We know we are. And they got lucky in the cup game. We beat ourselves in that cup game. They didn't beat us. Then we go and play Crystal Palace at home. And again, with the injuries they have and how up and down they are, that's a game where we could score a bunch of goals. And if we can get out of there, not only top of the league, having won 4 in a row, but also with the goal difference completely turned around, and now we have that in our back pocket as well over Arsenal and City, then we go into that run of 3 away games in 6 days, full of confidence, all going well with Alisson, Trent and Jota and Jones and everybody back that's going to come back, potentially even Bajcetic. And we're 6 games from a title. And I think if we have a close to full strength squad and we've gotten the confidence back and we know that it's all in our hands, then I think it really starts for us. Then I think we can really start getting confident, though the 3 away games will be tough. They will. My last thing here, Karl, last 3 games of the season, we play Spurs home, Villa away, Wolves at home. We do obviously have Europa League semi-finals around then as well. But given the Premier League is now looking likely to get a 5th Champions League spot for next season, do you look at that Villa game a little bit differently? If they're safe in the knowledge that they have a Champions League spot secured for next year, and they're, as we expect them to be, still in the Europa Conference League, do you think there's any possibility that Emery kind of almost punts on that game, rests a bunch of players for the Europa League, and, safe in the knowledge that, well, we're already secure in the Champions League?
It's possible.
Because I think that's our toughest game left.
Yeah, it probably is our toughest game left, but let's wait and see. Like, Lille are not going to be massive pushovers for them.
No.
And they are away in that second leg, and although Lille can be maybe hit and miss at times, so can Villa. Villa have been hit and miss at times this season, and I don't think that they've been in the most magnificent of form in terms of their actual playing and everything of late. So we'll see, basically, is the answer to that one as well. It's possible, but I wouldn't say it was highly probable.
We just need to win this one, and then we can focus on the next one anyway. Just win one at a time. And all of a sudden, you put together a nice winning run. We know we're capable of running off, 4 and 5 in a row. But right here, we need to probably run off 7 or 8 wins in a row. Being completely honest, like the Villa one might be the one where we can afford a draw.
Yeah.
But we have to win every game up to there.
Get to the derby and not drop a point. Then we can start talking about stuff. That's basically where we're
that's fair. That is fair. Just win the next 5, and then we'll worry about it. Right, Karl. Anything you want to plug before we go?
No.
What's your prediction for this game?
I'm going to go 3-1.
Okay. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to be cautious. Because I don't want to get given out.
To be very Gareth Southgate about this.
Yes, exactly. 7 at the back. Just pump it long. The thing is, as well, Darwin is exactly the type of striker who can have a field day against a team like them, big, quick, powerful. If we're willing to go a bit more direct to him, he can cause them all manner of problems. Because if you look at the teams that have put them to the sword this year, it has been the teams that go with a big guy up front. Mikel Antonio, Ollie Watkins, the fella at Luton whose name has escaped me, Palmer?
Carlton Morris.
Yeah, Carlton Morris. Like, and Rodrigo Muniz. Quick, powerful, bustly types of forwards caused this Brighton team all manner of problems, and did last year as well. Remember, Everton went there and walloped them? Like they are susceptible to that big, powerful, quick striker. So hopefully Darwin's good to go, and hopefully we can just get him the right balls into the right areas. And we'll leave it there. Thank you, as always, for listening. And we're back next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.